Something really, really interesting happened to me yesterday. So, and well, I don't need to give details. So I was en route to a meeting with a client for some side work that I'm trying to generate and get off the ground. This person lives in the Mountain Brook area, and for those who aren't familiar, Mountain Brook is a very affluent part of Birmingham. So anyway, I'm driving there, and I get behind this car, Walker, a white Lexus to be exact, and he's driving rather erratic, speeding up, slowing down, having a hard time staying in the lane. Not not accelerating when the light turns green and things like that. And so anyway, I'm behind him, and this period he's driving very slow, but I'm at a point to where I can't really overtake him. I wasn't in a hurry; I was on time, no big deal. So next thing I know, he stops and prepares to turn left. So I stop behind him, and on the opposite end of the street is a group of bikers, about 10 bikers, right? I'm talking like speed road bikes, not motorcycles. So it's a crew of them riding together. A very populated area with bikers, walkers, and things like that. So he stops. He's got his left blinker on. And, I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm actually, at this moment, I am like jamming hard to rod wave. So I'm just in my zone. So the bike crew approaches this intersection, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, once they pass, he's going to make this left turn. So he goes to make the left turn as the bike crew is approaching the intersection. Then he puts on the brakes, because I think he may not have seen them initially. So I'm like, okay, cool. He's not going to ram into him. He sees them, so he stops, and he lets like 2, maybe the 3 by, and then next thing you know, this dude slams the accelerator to get up this hill. So Walker, very, very tragic. Next thing I saw, these 3 or 4 bikers collide with the car. 3 bikers are ejected from their bike. One guy falls directly on his head. Thank God he's wearing a helmet. One guy falls on his side, ends up breaking his leg. Walker, it was tragic. There were 3 guys in the street that were all ejected from their bikes. Okay. So the guy of course pulls over. He gets out of the car. He's panicked. This guy looks to be anywhere between 70 and 75 years old. So I asked Siri to alert the emergency services, just so we can get somebody here to look at these guys. And I went ahead and made the 911 call, gave them all the information. I'm starting to freak out. So I hop out the truck. I don't even know what to do, but I'm walking up. I got to do something, right? And so I'm walking up. Guys got to, just tragic injuries, bloody side of the head. Like I said, the second guy, I could tell his leg was broken just the way it was. And I'm just like, it's pure adrenaline right now. So as bad as that was, Walker, here's where it gets really, really touchy. And this is kind of what I want to focus on for this opening today, if I can. So
there's more?
Yeah, there's more. So I'm assessing the situation. A white male doctor walks up, announces he's a doctor, and starts to really triage and try to figure out what's going on. I tell him I've called 911, asked him if there's anything I could do. And so he doesn't answer that, but he just kind of goes to work, right? And he's talking to the guys. The guys are conscious, thank God. And he's just trying to figure out what's going on. Next thing I know, I turn to my left. I hear a police car coming, right? So again, my truck is in the middle of the street, parked, right? No traffic's coming through just because you got bodies in the pavement, live bodies, excuse me, Walker. So the police car weaves his way through. He's flooring it to where the incident is. So he throws it in park, hops out of the police Tahoe or whatever, Walker, and quickly exits the vehicle, and he starts running. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he's running to assess the situation, see what's going on. So it's kind of weird. It's hard for me to say via audio, but it was like kind of a triangular pattern, right? Where at one point of the triangle was the tragic incident. I'm at another point of the triangle, and he's at the apex. He's coming from the apex, right? So I see him sprinting, and then next thing I know, I assess his course, and he's running to me. Now, where I'm standing at this point, I'm not really near the incident. I'm kind of closer to my car. So he starts running towards me. So I'm thinking, okay, Ronnie, put your hands up, which is what I did. And as soon as I put my hands up, Walker, I zoom in on him and his kind of running position, and he's got his hand on the right side of his belt, his right hand. So I'm thinking, okay, don't know why this guy needs his taser for this situation, but maybe I know I'm black in this situation. I'm a black male, 6'3", huge. So I know I'm already guilty already, right? Even though I'm not even involved in the situation. So I got my hands up and I look again and I'm like, no, his taser's on his left side. That is something else. And so this white lady who's walking on a trail near to where this happens, she starts yelling at the cop and she says, no, not him. It was him. And she's pointing at the man driving the white Lexus, the older white male. It was him. He's the one that hit the biker. Now she's yelling this as he's running towards me, right? I still got my hands up. I can't say anything. I'm just like, oh goodness. I'm thinking about my wife. I'm thinking about my kids in this moment because I don't know what's about to pop off. So he keeps running my direction, Walker, and it seems like everything was in slow motion. So weird. I usually hate when people say that, but this was my experience yesterday. So he's still running towards me. Next thing I know, this lady runs off the side of the road and she intersects us. She's standing in between the police officer and myself. And before she can even say anything, the white male doctor who came to assess the situation, he starts yelling at the cop, I need you over here. I need you over here. We need help over here. We need help, in this area. Because at this point, it's clear he's running my direction. So he still got his hand on the right side of his belt. And there's a white lady standing in between us. And she utters the word, or not utters, she yells the words, no, not him, not today. Those are her words verbatim, Walker. And I started getting chills like, oh my goodness. Now she's in between us again, Walker. So he runs up on her and he kind of stops and he looks at me with a look that I didn't really appreciate. And then he changes course back to where the action happened. And so I'm shaking at this point, Walker, because I'm thinking, here I am. I've witnessed this whole thing unfold. I've alerted the authorities to come and help. I'm trying to help, but there's really nothing I could do because I don't know how to fix a broken leg. I don't know how to keep everybody stable. I don't know what to do. No one needs CPR because everybody's breathing still. But here I am helping while black, as I'll say. And for a few moments, I was in victim mode, or suspect mode, I should say. And so I still got my hands on my head, or I still got my hands up, right? And the cop has passed me. He's dealing with the situation. And so this white lady looks at me and she says, I know in this time of COVID awareness and uncertainty that people are really, curious about their space, yada, yada, yada. She said, but if you need a hug right now, please hug me. She said, I don't care about COVID. I don't care about anything. She said, I assume you don't have it, but if you need to just hug me right now. And of course I didn't, but I still have my hands up, and I'm like, okay, so you saw what I just saw. And she said, yeah. She said it wasn't going to happen today. She said, I just felt it on my heart that it was not going to go down today. I paraphrase a little bit of that. So I was like, okay, well, I said, thank you. I said, I need to call my wife. And she was like, okay. She's like, but you can put your hands down now. And I said, are my hands still up? She said, yeah, your hands are still up. Like that. That's how much in shock I was, Walker.
Right.
So slowly put my hands down, still trying to reprocess everything, hop back in the truck, call my wife, tell her I love her and tell her everything that just transpired, right? Just kind of get it all out. And so I get off the phone with her. I get back out of the car and I'm looking for this lady, right? And so I find her, and she's kind of like helping assess the situation because still there haven't been any paramedics or fire department on the scene yet. The 2 other police officers have showed up, but that's it. And so I look for her, I find her, and I thank her profusely, right? And then long story short, after that, paramedics show up. They take all 3 guys had to go to the hospital, and this actually broke on AL.com, so slow news day yesterday. But They take everything out. They take everybody out. I'm trapped in between all this. Like I can't move my car anywhere. I'm late for my meeting. I'm contacting her or whatever. So finally, once they break the scene down, I leave, and then I'm shook, Walker. Because I'm reprocessing everything. I'm trying to look at this whole incident through his lens to see, okay, what did he feel like? What kind of threat did he feel in that moment? We were in Mountain Brook. I am a rather large black male. I'm standing by my car. There are 3 white male bodies in the street. What maybe he thinks I shot 3 people. I have no idea.
So you never interacted with this cop again?
No, I never saw him again. Well, I saw him as I was looking for this white lady, and he was actually being a public servant in that moment. But I never said anything to him. I never got close to him or anything after that. So Walker, it out of the hundreds of thoughts I was processing yesterday throughout the day, and I couldn't even focus at the meeting I went to for this project I'm working on with this lady. I couldn't even focus on that. But I on my heart was the thought of this whole defund the police movement. And I just want to share here that, again, and I think we're repeating this because we've said it before, me in this situation, I'm not advocating for eradicating the police. I think that's a reach. I think, politics and social media have driven that narrative to that extreme. But what I mean by defund is, why did this man automatically assume me as a threat upon exiting his squad vehicle? Why didn't I get at least, if he's not going to go to the situation, to where all the the guys were injured or hurting or whatever, if he's not going to go there first off, at least give me the common decency to approach me and maybe ask questions, not immediately reach for your handgun as you're approaching me, running at me, And it brought a level of reality to what a lot of black men or black people in general are facing in these times. It's like my wife said when I talked to her. I called her probably like 12 times yesterday in between the meeting and another stop I had to make and going home. And she just kept reminding me. She was like, Ronnie, this is just the world we live in. And I'm like, well, that's not good enough. That I don't think that's good enough. So when we say defund the police, Walker, what I took away from it in this particular example is, why not take from a police budget to generate more effective training, more effective protocols, to where a innocent citizen such as myself is not left with the horror or the imposed danger that happened in those few seconds of him exiting the squad car, approaching me. Maybe having training on not criminalizing people before you even have an opportunity to assess the situation. Unless somebody called, and this is part of the outlier theory that I have. Unless somebody called and said, hey, there's a black man out here in the street shooting people, which definitely didn't happen, But and I don't know if that happened or not. But unless that went down, there's no reason to really, exit your car that aggressively towards me when there are 3 other men who are injured in the street that could really use your help right now.
Right.
So, anyway, that was all yesterday morning around 9:30, Walker. So, I wanted to share that, of course, and I also wanted to open it up to you and just hear, what do you think about that situation?
First off, I want to thank you for being very transparent about your experience. I'm pretty sure that is going to resonate with people who are looking for additional context into the issue of police brutality and understanding the reality of it. You're actually the second friend of mine in so many months who have had encounters with police in which they actually called the police themselves and ended up being potentially, like, You was not targeted. People intervened, but my other friend actually got targeted by police and tased and arrested for no reason. So I thank you for being transparent about your story. One of the things I will mention is, for those who are listening, what if there wasn't a white woman in this story? You know what I mean? We tend to harp on the stories that actually make headlines, the Jacob Blakes, the George Floyds. Think about situations like this that happen so often, where there is someone who can intervene and say, no, officer, this person didn't do anything wrong. The issue is over here, right? What would have happened if she wasn't there? What would have happened if she was there but didn't speak up? Again, this is another reason why it's important for us to have allies that speak up on our behalf, because there was nothing yet you could have said or done to change that cop's mind. And look at what it took for the white woman to change the course. She had to get in front of a cop with his hand on his weapon. That's why it's important for us to have allies to speak up for us. That's why some people say silence is violence, because you speaking up can actually change the course of certain things. Second thing is, no one outside of those, and by the way, our thoughts and prayers with those who were injured in that bike crash. I don't know if we said that, but our thoughts and prayers are with those individuals. And we pray for a quick recovery, swift recovery for those individuals. Outside of them, like, nothing happened to you. But think about the trauma that had on you.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the trauma and the impact. And what I want, we don't just have black people listen to the podcast. We have people who are not black. I want you to think about the fact that no one got arrested, no one got injured, no one got murdered, but think of the trauma that was exchanged in that scenario. There are a lot of black people walking around with trauma based on their interactions with police officers. And so when we see something, and think about how that trauma rears its ugly head when we see a video of a George Floyd, when we see a video of a Jacob Blake, it brings you right back to your experiences that you've had with police. And that's why someone like you, Gatrey, can say that could have been me, because there was a day where it could have been you. You just never heard about it because there was a white lady who intervened, and it didn't land on the news. So I think it's important for us to not act like we know everything when we have these conversations. And we talked about it. It's important to not make yourself, if you're not black and you're hearing about these stories, it's important to listen to those who've had experiences and run in with the cops. We know our experience has a way of shaping what we believe to be true about things, but we have to appreciate the fact that your experience isn't everyone else's experience. And if there are people who are saying clearly out of their mouths, hey, the police are being real aggressive towards us. The police are being excessive. They're using excessive force. We're presumed guilty upon being approached. Then it's incumbent to listen to those experiences and get to the root of the problem. Because until then, if we don't begin to have intelligent conversations about this, and oftentimes the best way to converse with someone is to not say anything but listen and understand. If we're not having intelligent conversations where we're listening and understanding and getting to the root of the matter, these problems will continue. And unfortunately, there will not be a white woman or a white person there to intervene and prevent it from happening. So that's all I got to say. Again, I thank you for being transparent about it and sharing your story. And again, these things have happened. Like I haven't had anything like that, but I have been pulled over in neighborhoods and questioned why I was there. You know what I mean?
It's common. So, like, it's common for us. I hate that. I hate that for you, but it's just like, that's something I've been through countless times, and it's kind of like, I just hate how common we've made that. But unfortunately, it's a part of the experience.
And it's why you have so many. See, when LeBron James says that there are people afraid of cops, that's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about, because you already know to expect to be met with high degrees of suspicion. That's why you have to make sure they can see your hands. I was thinking, like, as you're telling the story, Gatrey, I'm putting myself in your shoes and thinking, okay, where should I put my hands where they can see it? Do I put it on the car? Do I put it up? Where do I help neutralize them to know that I'm not you know what I mean? Like, right. Immediately I go into that, because we've seen this movie so many times. So again, man, I thank you for sharing that. And it's real. And my prayer is that we continue to have, not so much you and I, but just our society begin to really have an honest conversation.
Sure thing.
And not politicize this to where it's a Democrats versus Republicans thing. No, this is just a human decency issue. Like, be decent. And it's amazing that the person who actually hit the bikers, where was he in all of this?
Ooh, every time I saw, I mean, at one point, I mean, there was a verbal exchange between some of the bike crew and him, but that was like the worst.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I read on the article on AL.com that, he's not facing any charges. It was an accident. It's kind of like, and it was. Okay, don't let me say it wasn't, but I'm thinking, if I had been driving that vehicle, would it have been an accident as well? And
see what I'm saying?
I don't have the answer to that, but it leads to a very curious disposition.
You have reason to wonder that,
right,
after your experience.
Right.
You call the cops trying to get you call 911. You didn't call the cops. You call 911 to get help for the people you saw get injured. And that's what you got met with. Jeez. That was your reward for trying to be a good neighbor. Right? Jeez. So yeah, and my thing is, I pray for you, man. I pray that trauma, that experience, it doesn't have a lasting, because again, man, you don't know you've been traumatized until you get triggered again.
Right. And
you know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing about trauma. So,
and Walker, I'll share this in terms of kind of nurturing and dealing with the trauma. When I finally wrapped up the meeting and was headed home, I did text my therapist, and just gave him a brief breakdown of what happened, and just asked him, is there any way we can move up, our regular scheduled meeting so that we can tackle this head on and deal with everything that's going to come from this? Because I know there's more. I know there's a part of me emotionally that's still in shock. And
kudos to you, man.
Thanks, man. And to piggyback on that, I want to shout out David Solomon, who was there for me. I reached out to him and kind of gave him a play-by-play. And he not only did he listen and offer great insight and empathize, but he gave me several things that, I need to consider doing immediately to work on that process of relieving the trauma. So it was good hearing that from a man I call my brother. So I know he listens, so I had to shout him out. Is
that something you would want to share? Just, is it something generally? Is it specific to you?
It's definitely general. A little bit of both. So the thing he was stressing to me was, hey Ronnie, look, take a minute and really try to do something to take your mind off of it. And it was funny. I immediately started talking about work stuff, and he was like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I've known you for a long time. I know golf is a thing for you. He's like, Ronnie, if you can, at the very least, go out and hit a bucket of golf balls, which is what I did yesterday. It was a beautiful day. But I took his advice on that, and my wife's advice as well. And I went out and I was able to disconnect for a period of time and focus on my terrible golf game. But it's still something that I get a lot of joy from. And for that hour, I was able to just kind of zone out and just be there with, golf club and ball and nature. So it was a major key, Walker. So I don't know if that serves to help anyone else, but I can say that it definitely helped me yesterday in dealing with everything that came with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a process, of course, because I still gotta, I still gotta follow up my therapist. We got to unpack a lot of things, so yeah, anyway.
Yeah. And again, I said, I thank you for sharing that, because you're not the only person who have had a run in with authority. So to hear that, to do something that can help take your mind off of it initially, reach out to therapy. Again, we can't preach therapy enough on the podcast. Get someone to help you walk you through it. You don't have to you don't have to deal with your trauma alone.
Right.
At all. And you shouldn't. That's not a healthy way, because you don't have all the answers. And so someone can objectively walk you through that and help you navigate through it. So again, man, I'm glad you're safe. Kudos to you for trying to do the right thing, and definitely, man. Our prayers to you as well, man, that you can, again, that your faith in humanity, which I know isn't damaged in any way, but that can erode a person's faith in humanity if you allow it to. For sure. Yeah, I continue to pray for you in that regard. And thanks for sharing again, man.
Of course.